Hi everyone, I'm Tony Feaster, a faculty member at Southwestern College, and this presentation is called Creative Commons License Attributions for Educators. I hope you find it helpful. The first half of the presentation talks about using the different licenses offered by Creative Commons, and then the second half of the presentation provides examples of licensing different works. So my presentation today is based on two other wonderful works by K.M. Eric Page, and it is licensed by Creative Commons by, which means it's with attribution, and 4.0, which is the most current license to choose from. So you can see it in the bottom left corner. And I've also provided a written example here. Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. And the symbol is on the left corner. You might hear my cat Wilby. He often likes to video bomb. So here are some of the highlights for this presentation. I'll discuss what Creative Commons is, why choose Creative Commons, the 4 license elements and their icons, and the 6 Creative Commons licenses, collections and derivative works, because some of you might be using these choices in your courses, in your open educational resources, what TASL stands for, and then I'll provide different licensing examples and demonstrate the use of license choosers or builders and provide you with those tools. So Creative Commons is an organization. It offers some free legal tools. It's also a culture. In order to lead to greater flow of ideas, Creative Commons is designed to encourage the free exchange of knowledge and resources. So why use Creative Commons? Well, it really goes hand in hand with open educational resources. And the 5 R's of open educational resources are that a person retains some licensing if they choose that, that they can freely share their resource and others can reuse it, they can revise it and change it, they can remix it with different resources and put it together, and that they can redistribute it. For example, provide it in an online class or make copies and hand those out to their students. So it really does simplify the process of sharing and reusing materials, and it promotes a sense of community, a commons, and collaboration with others. It shares the work while maintaining some control. And these are the 4 license elements and then their icons. So this icon with the person in the circle means attribution by. So if you see that, and that's all there is, it just means that all license, what needs to be included is who made the work originally. And attribution by is included in all the licenses. So you always need to state who the artist or designer, educator originally was, who made the work. And then this reverse circle in the circle means share alike. So adaptations must be licensed under the same license. And then there's a $sign with a hash mark over it in a circle. And this means that non-commercial use of the item. So it can only be used for non-commercial purposes, cannot primarily be used to generate profit or monetary compensation. And then the equal sign that's in the circle means no derivatives. This means adaptations of the work cannot be shared. So only sharing in the original form is allowed. When can So one cannot modify it, add images, and share that with others. So for educational purposes, the first three license elements are really good choices for open educational resources. And then there's 6 Creative Commons licenses that are here. So these license elements combine to form these 6 licenses. So the first one, the attribution license, or CC BY, requires the author attribution, of course. And though the use of the author's work can be for anything, commercial or non-commercial. And then the attribution share-alike license, which is BY SA, allows for any purpose as long as attribution is given and adaptations are shared under the same or compatible license. So I've used work with this attribution, and now it's 4.0, meaning international. It's just an updated one. And then the CC BY NC is the attribution non-commercial license. BY NC permits non-commercial reuse with attribution. And then the fourth one, the attribution non-commercial share-alike license, which is BY NCSA, permits non-commercial reuse with attribution given when adaptations are licensed under the same or compatible Creative Commons license. And the fifth one is the attribution no derivatives license, or BY ND, means that the author must be credited and the work can be used for any purpose as long as it's not adapted. No derivatives. And then 6, the attribution non-commercial no derivatives license, or BY NCND, requires attribution of the author or creator, and that only unadapted versions of the work can be used in non-commercial settings. So this is going to be the most restrictive of these 6 licenses. A couple other items here are in the public domain. So Creative Commons licenses, they have an effect on works in the public domain. Creative Commons, this is CC0, so Creative Commons 0. It's a public domain dedication tool that allows authors to renounce their own copyright and allow any members of the public to use the work. Authors therefore take a no rights reserved approach and release their work into the public domain. However, you do have to check on this because some jurisdictions, maybe some countries, prevent the work from being dedicated to the public domain. So you would possibly have to research this if this was something you were thinking of using. Now, this public domain mark, which is the C with the hash over it, signifies that the work is free of all copyright restrictions. However, it doesn't carry any legal weight and is therefore not based on legal code. So it would be better if you're releasing something to do the CC0 and make that your choice. So now I want to move on and talk a little bit about collections. Because some of you might be choosing these. Let's say you have a history of art type of class or art history, and you might be making collections of different images. So collections are compilations of material from different creators. For example, a DJ could play works by different artists during a set. Maybe she plays Tom Petty, Fats Domino's, Little Richard, and then it's a collection of works. Another way to look at this is if I have a plate of food and I have some cooked kale, potatoes, leeks, and white beans, that would be a collection of items on a plate. Now, an adaptation or derivative work creates something new from an original. So if a DJ creates a new song by mixing multiple records together, that is like a derivative work. Or if I put all these items that were on this plate, if I put them into a bowl and use my immersion blender and mix them all up, now I have a kale ya soup. And so all these items are mixed together. Another example of an adaptation or derivative work could be when Natalie Cole sung with her father, who was long deceased, Nat King Cole, Unforgettable. So they sung Unforgettable as a duet. Another situation where a daughter sung with her father, who is deceased, was Lisa Marie Presley singing with Elvis Presley in The Ghetto. And so those are examples of adaptations. Now, here's a collection I call Many Backpacks. And there's backpacks in all these 4 pictures, and their licenses are here. As you can see, it has the name by the artist and what it was originally licensed under. So I didn't change any of these images, but I made a collection of them. And then I licensed it under CC BY 4.0, which is just the more recent license. It's the same as a 2.0, just more updated. So choosing the right license was done using guidance from a license compatibility chart, which we'll see in just a second. Here's another collection, which is an existing Creative Commons collection, the Digitalt Museum Collection. In this collection, they utilize content under all of these different licenses. So the public domain, CC BY, CC BY SA, CC BY NC, CC BY NC-SA, CC BY ND, and CC BY NC ND. So if they were to license this collection, they'd have to consider the license that best fits all, but does not contradict any of them. So the remixes, adaptations, and derivatives can be a little more complicated. There is a chart that can help. So here, this chart is collections, license compatibility chart. So if you have a creative work that you want to use, you first see which license it uses. So that is over here in the left-hand column. So locate the license used by the item. And then you can go over and see anywhere where there's a tick. It represents which license located at the top bar you can use. So looking at a couple of them here, we see the public domain ones and CC BY, which CC BY is just where you give an attribution. This is one of the most generous licenses, and it can be used to put something in the public domain, to use again the CC BY, the CC BY SA, which is the same as licensing, CC BY NC, which is non-commercial use, and the CC BY NCSA, which is with attribution for non-commercial and with the same as attribution. So this is a very handy compatibility chart. Now let's look at some derivative works. So these are works that have been adapted or changed. So here we have an image of Yosemite by Edward S. And it is licensed under CC BY. And so I took it and I added some colors. I put Visit Yosemite on it. And then I took it again and I changed the coloring of it, the coloring of the clouds and the trees. And I wrote Enjoy Yosemite Picnics, and I put a picture of a couple cats having a picnic on their porch. So these are derivative works where I changed the original work. So if he had it licensed under ND, non-derivatives, I wouldn't be able to do this and share it. But because he just had CC BY with an attribution is what is needed. So another derivative work is by KM Eric Page. And this work of this DJ, this stick figure DJ, is under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0. And then take the stick figure DJ and just color it purple. It doesn't count as a derivative work as only the color was changed, and it's substantially the same piece. But put that DJ on its head with a blue background, grass on the ground, a cloud in the sky. Now it has been substantially changed, and it is a derivative work. So you have the original work, just where the colors changed. It's not does not count as derivative, but the third picture with the blue background where the color's been changed and cartoons have been added to it, this now is a derivative work. So if the license that Happy DJ was released under incorporated the no derivatives element, which is represented by that equal sign, then Happy DJ image 3, where the DJ is basically doing a somersault, would not be permissible use. Taking this to a classroom setting, if a teacher wanted to make changes to a text that a license prevented derivatives from being made, then you would not be allowed to make adaptations of it in order to fit it into the course syllabus, the course OER textbook. This license element of no derivatives does not allow users to personalize a creative work. One argument in favor of this license is that some see it as a way to protect their authority of the creators so their message does not get diluted. So we have a chart for using derivative work. And it's therefore important when using derivative work to make licensing considerations through the aid of an adapter's license chart. In the case of Happy DJ, it is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, which is CC BY. So through looking at this chart, if anyone wanted to use Happy DJ, they could adapt it and then their work could be licensed under any of the other Creative Commons license. The only exception of this work would not be in the public domain. So if we see by the next, the person who might adapt their work could also license it under the CC BY, the CC BY NC, so for non-commercial purposes, by NC ND, they can make it so it's non-derivative work, by NCSA, which is sharing same as, by ND no derivatives, and by SA, which has an attribution and it's shared same as, but it can't be put in the public domain. Now, traditional copyright does not allow for derivative works to be created, nor does the Creative Commons no derivatives, and Creative Commons non-commercial no derivatives allow for this. However, the following licenses, in addition to works in the public domain, do allow you to create derivative works. So if it has a license, the Creative Commons Attribution License, Creative Commons Share Alike License, Creative Commons Non-Commercial License, or Creative Commons Non-Commercial Share Alike. And then to conclude, in order to respect the rights of the creator, we need to make sure the work we are using allows for the purpose we are intending it for in either creating collections or derivative works. The Creative Commons license compatibility chart and the adapter's license chart are invaluable tools in guiding you through the collection and adaptation of existing works. So now you have your work, you figured out if you can, how you can use it. So some best practices for attributions of a Creative Commons licensed work. Remember the tassel. Remember all this hassle for a tassel? It really isn't too big of a hassle here. What you want to include is the T for title, the A for author, the S, the source of the work, and then text or link. And I like to use descriptive links because they're more accessible. They follow accessible guidelines. So you'll see in my examples, I use a descriptive link to a CC license under which the work is shared. So here's an example. You have this blue heart with CC in the middle. So the title is CC Blue Heart, and I provide a link to it by Creative Commons Corporation, which I provide a link to. I borrowed it or took it on August 9th, 2025, and it is licensed under CC by 4.0, so I provided a link to that licensed with Creative Commons. Here's another example. It's an image example of John Muir. And its title is John Muir, the original author who painted artist who painted it is Orlando Roland. So I provided a link from Smithsonian's page for Orlando Roland. And this also needs a link back to John Muir, so I can do that and provide a link to the exact page where I found it. I used it on August 9, 2025, and it is CC0. So there's also help for creating a license. So on the next page, and here we go. So there's a CC license chooser, and it can be found at creativecommons.org under chooser. Now, we're not required to use this, but it really makes designing licenses, especially in the beginning, easier. The advantage also of machine readable layer, which is part of the layer of Creative Commons. So it's easier for others to find the work, use the work, attribute the work online. Let me go back a second and I don't think I can share it. But if you go to that web page, and it will look like this box here. And so it says, do you know what license you need? I put yes. Which license do I need? I needed the CC0. And then about waiving copyrights, check that off. I put the title of it, the author, the link to the work, and a link to the creator profile, and then the year. And then it recommended CC0 1.0 Universal. So it's very helpful to use the CC license chooser. And then here's another example. So this is a textbook I chose. It's an open educational resource. And it's called Human Nutrition, it's second edition by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. And I made this on August 9th, 2025. And the license they have used is Creative Commons by NC, so not for commercial, and SA, share alike. So it's 4.0 now. So this is just another example. If you use a textbook, I didn't change this textbook. I use it as is, and then I add outside of it, I add other materials in my online class. So if you want to create or adapt books like this, so this is from Pressbooks, what I noticed that Pressbooks has a Learn More section. So if I wanted to know more about how Pressbooks wants me to use it, often if you use an OER resource, they want you to fill out a form so they know who's using it, and they can give you also information on how they want the CC attributions made. You'll find that on a lot of websites that share images or textbooks. Now, here's another example from a video. So there is a video here. There we go. Welcome to our... And this video is from Vimeo, and it's called The Eightfold Path, a holistic approach to mental health and wholeness. And it's from Simple Earth Rebel, and I took it on August 9, 2025. It is, though, a Creative Commons by ND, so that means no derivatives. So I provide this as an example that CC non-derivative licenses are not OER friendly, so you can't remix them or revise them and share them publicly. I provide that, and then I provide another video here, which comes from YouTube. So it's called Learning to Respond, Not React with Tara Brach, who's a well-known meditation teacher. And so I provided the quote, Learn to Respond, Not React with Tara Brach, which is the official name of the video, and it's by Tara Brach. So I provided also a link to Tara Brach's website, the date I borrowed it. And then the CC license comes from YouTube, and it is a CC attribution license. So I provided a link to that. Now, YouTube videos are rather cool because you can go to YouTube, you can search for your topic, and then you can choose a filter and select Creative Commons. So this means that you can find the license that is there and be more comfortable with using the work and including them in your course. So you can choose your video and then double check the CC license under more that's there. So go to YouTube, search for your topic. Maybe it's art history, maybe it's biology. And then over on the right side, you can choose to filter. And in the filter item, select Creative Commons and then choose your video and then double check the CC license under more, which you have more information right under the video. Super helpful. And here's another attribution builder. It comes from Washington State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. They also have one. The website is open.w.org/open-attrib-builder/. And this one I like too. So I have a behavior change that I've put out in Creative Commons, and so I just wanted to kind of play with that, put the title, put the author, organization is my college, and then the license was share alike, and then it gave me the attribution that would go under the image. So that's super helpful also, once again, especially if you're new to this. And that concludes my presentation for today. I hope you find it helpful, and please reach out to me if I can offer any other assistance or if you have any questions based on this presentation. And this presentation is licensed CC by 4.0. Thank you.